Hello and welcome to the Ditty. It has been a while, but I am still Zara.
I'm actually still Ian, much older, greyer and hairier, but still Ian.
Do you know, I feel like that myself. It's been so long.
It bloody well
Oh,
has. It's just been so much of a time out, hasn't it?
it has. It's been
Shifts and
ages.
everything, yeah. So
And
back.
yeah, we're back. And there is no plan for this one. I've got no music to suggest. I've got Slappity Bangers, which I've been enjoying. And I'll just put the link in here. And I sent you that one the other day. It's got like Drowning Pool, Puddle of Mud, Lamb of
Oh
God,
God, yeah, that was really
Bring Me the
good.
Horizon. Oh, it's incredible.
There was a
I'm
few
like,
tracks on there that I skipped, but generally, yeah, it was really good.
yeah, there's do you know what? It reminded me how much I fucking love Slipknot. Like
Yeah.
it was on there and I was like, oh yes. And then I went down the Slipknot fucking hole and I was there for ages. And yeah, so I'll put the link to that up as well. I actually posted it on TikTok and people seem to like that one as well.
Yeah,
So
it's good. It's well worth a
yeah.
listen.
Mhm.
I stumbled on, and I don't know where the fuck it came from, a track called "Who Laughs Last,"
Mm.
and it's Lord Huron and Kirsten Stewart.
What?
Yeah, and the way it's done, she's um speaking the lyrics
Yeah.
and it sounds as though she's talking down a phone on the other end of a phone. It's really fucking good,
Right.
but
So as
it's
you
kind of dystopian sort of theme to it. It sounds really good. I liked it.
As you've just mentioned that, I went and took a quick because I've got my Spotify up, even though I'm a Spotify hater, it's fucking easy on it. So I opened it up. That was only released on the 24th of January this year.
Was it?
Yeah, look at you, fucking up with the times and everything.
Fucking I'm down with the kids and everything, mate. I'm telling you.
Up with the times, down with the kids, and sideways with yourself. I don't,
Yes,
I don't know. Yeah. Since we have last recorded, I have been to see Snow Patrol.
you have.
I fucking did. And, I was kind of apprehensive. And I actually at one point said, you know what? I don't know if I want to go. And
Really? Why?
yes, so I really, really enjoy their new album, which by the way, I bought on vinyl, obviously. I've got a couple added to my collection recently, so that's one of them.
Was it a fear of disappointment?
Do you know it wasn't? It was that I didn't want to see these songs live yet. And I can't explain to you why. I don't know. I've got no
Okay.
fucking idea.
All right.
Because, yeah, when I was going to the Hozier gig and I knew he was doing his new album, I wanted to feast on every fucking word. I was like, I am ready for this. This one, not so. And do you know what? They
What?
played all of their old ones.
Do you know
And
it's probably that kind of never meet your heroes sort of thing.
do you
What if
know,
you went and they were fucking shit?
I knew that, I had a very strong feeling they wouldn't be. But when you're like, okay, I really, really, really like the new album. I do. I think I actually spoke about this, waiting for it to come out, one of our last podcasts, and that I'd already pre-ordered the vinyl and whatever. But I wasn't in the mood to hear it live. I think it's quite a sad album in general. Well, it's not, but it's like it goes back and forth in time, and it's quite nice. But I
Okay.
really wanted to hear some of the old stuff that I'd never heard because I've been listening to these since I was probably, I think, 15. So that's a long time. That's a long, a long fucking time. And I was hoping to hear some of the old stuff, and they fucking did it. And every single one of them were better than I had expected. And I came away, I was like, I'm really glad I went.
Well, do you know what? It's good that you went.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
I don't know if
fuck.
I would have gone because, well, it's
co-
not my cup of tea really. But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think, and I think I've mentioned this before. I find Dutch crowds very dry, and shoot me down for saying it. I actually don't give a fuck. Um, in comparison to like UK gigs where everyone's going fucking wild and they're singing along and they're doing all this, it's very dry. They're a very staid crowd. And I think you've seen video. I've sent you videos of all the gigs I've been to here now,
You have.
and I do find that they're very still. Very, very, very still. And it kind of kills it a little bit. And I think that's maybe what some of the apprehension was. But It was very good. So good, in fact, before I even went in, I bought, an accompanying, what I don't even know what you call it. I think I've got 2 of these in my whole life. One of them was from the Wild Hearts, one of the first gigs I went to, and it's still in its plastic sleeve. You know, like a
Okay.
booklet with, like, artwork and lyrics and all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff in. I bought this one as well.
Like a little press pack.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called now, but, Program, I think they're kinda called. But
Alright.
yeah, and I actually have 2, and that's all of the 2. In all of my years on this planet, I only have 2, Wild Hearts and this one is fucking beautiful inside. And I bought a
Which
T-shirt.
which which gig did you prefer for those?
Um, that's really tough because I think I saw the Wild Hearts quite a few times, and I have recently been listening to their new bits and pieces, and their new stuff sounds like their original old stuff, which I saw at the time, and you did.
I did.
And it actually made it kind of difficult. I was like, shit, because they are really fucking good, the Wild
Yeah,
Hearts.
they,
Yeah,
do they're one of the few bands that I wouldn't listen to as a live album,
never.
and I'm not a massive fan of their studio albums, but seeing them live, they're one of my favourite bands.
Yes.
Look that what pick
If
the bones out of that.
hmm See, that's the problem. If you haven't heard Troubadour Moon yet, go and have a listen. It was
Um,
released on the 30th of Jan this year, and it reminds me of old Wild Hearts to the extent that I had it on repeat a few times. And what I also found very interesting in um, most platforms don't tend to push the Wild Hearts, right? This one, for some reason, came up in one of my recommended after not listening to them for a very extended period of time. And I thought to myself, I wonder if they're getting an even bigger listening base or people are ready for them to come back because I think over the last few years, there's not really been space for that type of music or doesn't seem to have been so popular as it used to be.
yeah, maybe, maybe.
Mm.
I think, um, within their little fan base, if you like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and to be honest, it was quite a small fan base. It should have been a lot bigger. They
Oh,
should have been a
yeah.
lot bigger than they ever were.
Mhm.
Um, given given their stage presence, the performances, and the overall sound of them, they should have been a lot bigger than they were. They should have been a lot
Mhm.
more well known and a lot better received. And it's just sad when you see bands like that that just slip on the radar
Mhm.
and just kind of go the whole lot because that fucking hell, we've seen them many times and they've never. I've never walked away from one of their gigs going, oh, I wasn't so sure about that this
Yeah.
time.
I've never once been disappointed when I've seen them, and I find them so energetic on stage, even at their big ages. I find them so energetic. I find them entertaining to watch. I find the crowd also good. Because it feels really mixed in ages.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and everyone is there really appreciates what's happening. And do you know what? I think they're on tour, or they were meant to be on tour. And I actually looked to see if they were going to be nearby, and I think they're in Berlin, but I can't remember. And I was like, "Ugh, I'm not gonna lie, kind of tempted. Let me see where they're going, or have it already been? Oh no, it starts in March. So Sheffield, Cambridge, Manchester, Norwich, Glasgow, Wolverhampton, of course, and then they've got
I might
Nottingham,
have a look
South.
at I might have a look at travelling along to that one in
Yeah,
March.
Nottingham, Southampton, and I'm sure they were meant to be doing a couple of over this side, but yeah, I was very fucking tempted. If I was in the UK, I think I would make a beeline. It's on the 14th at the Steel Mill
Okay.
in Wolverhampton.
Yeah, I know the steel mill.
Yeah, and I reckon it would be a right old affair.
It
And
is gonna be.
if their new song's anything to go by and they play a mix of their old stuff, it's gonna be a fucking brilliant gig.
Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling I might be, moseying along to that one.
Yeah, I would take a look. I don't know to be honest, I don't know these thingy Jim Jones All Stars, and I can't read that Dirt Box Disco. I don't care about that, but
I've heard of them.
I haven't. Maybe I'm too old now, I don't know.
Yeah, and
But
if you're
yeah.
too old. Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah,
Right,
I was really
right.
fucking
Moving
yeah.
on.
Yeah, go on
Moving
then.
on.
Yeah.
Emily Armstrong.
Mhm. Yeah.
To anybody that doesn't know, is the new front person of Linkin Park,
Yeah.
the new vocalist. Now, I stumbled on this the other day. There was one of the songs on that the track list that you sent over to me,
Uh-huh.
playlist, was one that was one of their songs.
The emptiness machine.
That's the very one.
Mhm.
And I didn't recognize it as being Linkin Park. Um, I didn't, but it was a good song nevertheless. And I said to you, I thought it was like Hailstorm or somebody like that. And when I checked, I had a quick look on the title thing because my phone had blanked out, so I just tapped it and it comes up. So, and I was like, "Fuck me, Linkin Park."
Mm.
And I went and checked on it, and I found out it was this Emily Armstrong
Yeah.
fronted. Very good. It's very different though, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think it's very different to what people that know Linkin Park are used to hearing.
Yeah.
But I did read a little thing that
Mhm.
the co-founder, forget the guy's name now, he's a keyboard player,
Yeah.
um, and he'd said that
Mike
they weren't.
Shinoda.
Is that his name?
Mhm.
Right. He'd said in an interview that they weren't trying to replace Chester with somebody that sounded like Chester. They were just trying to push the band forward
Yeah.
and in its own way. With some, obviously they need somebody new, but they weren't looking to replace Chester's sound with somebody that sounded like. So there you go.
I do find that interesting. I don't think they could have put. I don't think they could have replaced him with a male vocalist. Being really realistic, I don't think. I think people would be more ready to accept a female vocalist than a male vocalist. I don't think there's many male vocalists I could even, off the top of my head, picture in that spot. But when I listen
Well,
to the machine, sorry, go on.
I think people, if you put a male vocalist into that band, people
Hmm.
would be expecting that vocalist to sound like Chester sounded. And
Oh
then you
yeah,
would have the people in there saying you've put him in there to try and sound like Chester, but we don't
yeah,
want it to sound like that. But then other people saying, but if it's a male vocalist, then shouldn't he try to sound like? So you were never going to put in a male vocalist in there. You were never going to win. I think so. So what they've done is by putting this, she's a bit of a shouty one, like Chester was as well.
yeah.
So but in her own way. So I think what they've done is
Uh-huh.
actually spot on to carry
I
on with their career.
I do think so. When I listen to the oh my God, I can't even say it. When I listen to that new song, you know the one.
One, yeah.
The emptiness machine. Oh
God,
Jesus.
what's
Right
up
there.
to you?
I don't know. May as well just turn this off and leave. Um, there's two lines where to my ear, and that this is listening over speakers, and then I double checked on headphones, and I highly recommend that you do the same if anyone's listening, which you probably aren't now. That I let you cut me open just to watch you bleed and gave up who I am for you, who you wanted me to be, right? That those two lines, she hits a specific pitch that he hits in many of his tracks. And that was the first time. And I've had to listen to it quite a few times because I was one of the people who, when I first listened to it, I'm like, I'm never listening to these guys again. Um, I had to listen to it a few times, and those lyrics, there's something about her tone, I think, of how it comes across that reminded me very much of Chester. And I was like, "Do you know what? Fuck it, I'm in. Go on, let's see what you got." So
That's fair enough.
yeah, I'm very ready to hear what comes next. I know that she was a very controversial pick. Uh, it kind of has divided people, older fans as well. And I guess that's that conversation of should you separate artist from art? But that's a long conversation, that one.
But if you look at it, um, if you look at say Queen, when Freddie
Mhm.
died, and they replaced him with was it Adam Lambert?
Can't even remember, so that's how much it matters.
I think they brought Adam Lambert in,
Mm.
and at the time people were going, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? He's nothing like Freddie Mercury. He doesn't look like him. He doesn't sound like him. Um, what are you doing?" the only similarity between them was the flamboyance of
Yeah.
them. Um, but once people had calmed down and stopped that knee jerk reaction and listened,
Yeah.
it's still a good sound. It's all right. It's not Queen as with Freddie Mercury, but it is Queen. And
Yeah.
it's just taken on a slightly new direction. AC/DC when Bon Scott died, and
Mm.
Shouty Geordie bloke took over. I forget his name. Um, I personally prefer the Bon Scott times,
I
but
think, yeah,
but
go on.
there are some of the newer songs that I will listen to that I enjoy. So, you know,
Yeah, I think I'm also of the opinion that in the end, we have to remember that regardless of who they lose within the band, the rest of the members started because they fucking love it. It's something
yes,
that they're passionate about. And why should they then lose everything they've built, everything they've worked for, everything they fucking love, because that one part of the puzzle isn't there? It's never going to be perfect because it's never going to be the original. But y- by saying they shouldn't carry on, you're effectively saying that these and it's not just the band, right? It's all the band members around those members and all the stage teams and all those crews. This is their everything that they've ever wanted to do, and they've been able to do it. By saying they shouldn't carry on, you're saying effectively all those hundreds of people shouldn't be able to also carry on.
it must be hard when it's your front man, though. I mean, if
Oh
it's your
yeah,
drummer or your bass player or your guitarist, okay, it's still a blow
yeah.
because some people actually do go to gigs to see not just the front man. They'll go to see the bass player or they'll go to see the guitarist. I mean, if you look at the Chili Peppers, people go
Hmm.
to see not only Kiedis, but they go to see Flea as well.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
you know that's your two focal points because if you ask the general people who are the members of the Chili Peppers, they'll know Anthony Kiedis and they'll
yeah,
know Flea, but
yeah.
they won't know the others. They'll
No.
just say, "Oh, this is the guitarist and the drummer as well." So
Well,
and a lot of bands have got that.
yeah, but with Slipknot, Joey Jordison, their original drummer, I think he passed away 2021. It's been a while, and they had to eventually replace him as well. So um yeah,
Is there not a bit of a difference there though? Because now you could sit me on them drums.
you definitely couldn't.
No, you could
No.
because you've got that bloody mask on, so nobody's going to know it's me, are they?
He had a very
Play a
specific
play a backing
style.
track. Play a backing track with me sitting there with that bloody mask on.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to know. I
yeah.
wouldn't know.
Um, so he had going back to Joey Jordison, he had a neurological disease, which is why he ended up not being able to play as well as he did. And then so they kind of parted ways, and then he died. But that was one of those things that was massive within the fan base because people would go to see him play because he was very, very good.
Mm, yeah, but the visual
Yeah,
is never
I
going to
know what you
change.
mean.
In that
No.
band, the visual will not change. The sound
Well,
maybe, but the visual no, because like I said, you could sit me there with that outfit on, and nobody's going to know it's me
I
because
believe
they're
that
seeing,
their
they're getting
masks
the
are
visual.
no, no, I believe the mask is individual, so they wear their own thingy masks, and I don't know if the new person actually wear. I would say they wouldn't wear that because I think they would be like uproar about that for sure. But I don't actually know. I can't remember the name of the new person that replaced him. So,
I know
but
very
yeah,
little about them to be honest.
yeah, I've very much been enjoying them lately. So yeah,
Mm. Yeah, they're
so
good. They're good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll sit and listen to them, but not too much
no, and I think
because my poor
also
old ears can't take that anymore.
yeah, I've actually just read that the person that replaced Joey Jordison was sacked in 2023. So, so it must have not been that good of a replacement. But yeah, there's a lot of thinking. I think band lineups should change sometimes anyway. Just because, why not?
Well, yeah, I think the Rolling Stones would probably disagree, and
Yeah,
Rammstein they'd disagree as well.
that's
So
true. That's true. That's
But
unfortunately.
sometimes you keep it the same, don't you? Anyway, enough of that
Yeah.
rubbish. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. Go on. So what?
Right.
Right. So anyway.
1001 albums before you die generator.
Oh God. Do you know what? I have been loving and hating this in equal measure. Um,
Explain to
yes.
people.
So I was doing look, full story then. I was doing some research looking for how to introduce people to new music. And now one of the things that I came across was 1001 albumsgenerator.com, right? And it gives you every single day a random album. And the idea is obviously you go and have a listen and you can rank it and stuff. Uh, now the mix is wild. I don't know how else to even yeah, I don't know how to. So here's probably the good thing. Right. My last 5 artists have been Supergrass, Boston, Anita Baker, Dusty Springfield, and Stevie Wonder. Mhm.
Would you like
But
me to tell you mine? My
yeah, go
last
on.
five
Yeah, go on.
has been Iron Maiden,
Mhm.
Steely Dan, Elastica, Jar Wobble, and Marty Robbins.
Mhm.
Marty
Sit.
Robbins, let me just explain who Marty Robbins is for people that are going, never heard of him. He did an album, and I think it was like something like 1959, and it was gunfighter ballads and trail songs.
Mhm.
So if you imagine all of those really old westerns and the man sitting by the campfire, that it was an album of that.
I think the worst album, in my opinion, that I have had is King Crimson with an album called Lark's Tongue in Aspic. And I'm gonna read you my review of this one because I do leave a review every now and again. Had no idea what this was going in, and now I'm halfway through and I still have no idea. It's as if jazz fell into medieval music, held hands, ran through a wind chime. Then they grabbed some extra instruments and did things. It is a semi cohesive experimental upset. And yes, everyone should have listened at least once, because what the fuck did I just go through?
Yeah.
That's my review of that. And here is the one of the other reviews, right, which I think sums it up even better. I've been pretty high, but I've never been King Crimson high.
I think my favourite album, and I'm saying favourite in a really bad way,
Yeah.
um, has been The Velvet Underground with Nico.
Right.
And I shall read you my review.
Oh yeah.
It goes thusly. I've always heard of the Velvet Underground as being pioneers, stroke influencers, and so on. What a load of drivel. This particular album, in my opinion, is borderline assault, and I've heard plenty of ropey music in my time. I really fail to understand how, after recording and then listening back to the finished work, they had the kahoonies to actually subject the listening world to it. I
Okay.
thank you.
A
It was
borderline
fuck,
assault.
it was fucking dreadful. Jesus. The worst thing is, and I'm putting this out for not you, for anybody that might be listening, is we've had a deal between us that whatever the album is, we listen to it.
Yes.
Right?
So this goes back to so
It's been fucking hard. It's been hard.
it has been difficult. It's been really do you know what? I've really struggled with a girl called Dusty. Oh, I struggled with that one incredibly. Oh, and that was off the back of the fulfilling this first finale from Stevie Wonder, which was very, very difficult. And just for that one I wrote, not my cup of tea at all. Because I just couldn't bring myself to do more. But that said, I have had some albums that I really enjoyed. So I had Bjork debut.
Good.
Very, very much enjoyed that one. I had David Bowie Hunky Dory. Now,
Oh, did you?
yes.
Fuck.
and I very, very much enjoyed that. I also had, where's the you know what was awful? Mott the Hoople with Mott. I hated that one. Um, I also had, where is it now? Yeah, Little Richard. Here's Little Richard. Do you know, I was expecting to be like, I listened to it, I think about 3 times over the space of the day. I enjoyed it so much.
Little Richard was great.
Mhm. I didn't enjoy the Go-Go's with Beauty and the Beast.
I
Didn't
wouldn't
enjoy that
imagine
one.
that you would.
So
I wouldn't.
far, we've had 39 albums because I don't have weekends off on this one.
Oh, yeah, you've had more than me, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
and
don't do weekends as well. I can't fucking do it.
no, I have gone ahead and done it, because I thought I shall really dig in and make the most of it. Um, but yeah, it also goes back to, I think we've done a podcast on it, listening to albums from start to finish. And I wrote something, I think, last month about it, about people have, like, lost the art of a long listen to a single, artist in album form.
I struggle with that generally
Mm,
because because there's very few albums that I can put on and listen and just go through because um, I get bored with the style,
mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I like to have things mixed. I mean, I can go maybe one, two, three tracks one after the other from the same artist, but then I have to chop it up a little bit. I have to put something else in there, otherwise it all starts to sound the same,
Mhm.
and and I don't like that happening. So it's very rare that I can listen to an album from start to finish. So
I actually posted the question and went through, like, Reddit forums to see what people considered to be no skip albums. And this one person put up, um, I think one of the most mixed responses, and it was and albums he'd found through the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. He's gone for Nina Simone, Wild is the Wind, Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly, The Cure, Disintegration, Joni Mitchell with Blue, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, and Flaming Lips. And there was a couple, like, so the critics' no skip albums are Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, The Bends, Radiohead, but they that was kind of caveated as it could be any Radiohead album because it's like a start to finish concept, so you naturally
you
listen
know
to them.
what? I disagree with that. I disagree with that because
Mhm.
I've discovered
Mm.
with myself, and I think
Mhm.
we discussed this a little while ago, that I seem to have a thing about artists' first couple of albums,
Yes.
and then I tend to lose interest because I think that now it's not always the very first albums. I mean, when you look at Pink Floyd, for argument's sake, they released quite a few albums before they hit Dark Side and Wish You Were Here,
Yeah.
which to me are their finest works. So
Mhm.
there were albums before then which weren't so clever. And I think after those two albums I've got and I will play the arseholes out of. Um, but after that, they started to wane off a bit. The albums were good, don't get me wrong, but they started to wane a little bit. And Radiohead, the Bends, um, where we're going from there. Pablo Honey was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Pablo Honey,
Then
The Bends,
the
OK
Bends,
Computer,
yeah.
Kid A,
Right
Amnesiac.
after after OK Computer,
Mhm.
for me, it started. They started getting a little bit um, up their own arses, in my opinion. Now I know a lot of people disagree with that, but for me, their first two albums and OK Computer had some good songs on, but that's more of a push. And I think that a lot of bands after that first two big albums, they the writing becomes a little bit struggled. It becomes a bit laboured, and I think they're just putting stuff out there for the sake of it. Whereas that first two albums were all of the things they wrote when they were loving it. But now it's,
Okay.
after that first couple of albums, that first, say, 15 or 20 tracks,
Right.
it's just become, we've got to keep putting stuff out there now because people will keep buying it and we'll keep making more money. That's my opinion. Um, and now, Radiohead,
Mm-hmm.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
if you played somebody that didn't know Radiohead, if you dropped them right into the middle to say Amnesiac or one of those, they'd never listen to any of it again. They'd
Do you
never.
think so?
I really do. I really do. Because if you go back to their first couple of albums, Pablo
Yeah.
Honey, The Bends, and play them, they're superb, superb albums. But after that, it starts becoming very oh, what's the term I'm looking for now? Just up their own asses a little bit of self-importance, and they get too experimental. And I think that the idea in the way they're thinking is
Mm.
people know us now, so we're in their psyche now, we're in their blood now, so they'll keep buying any old fucking shite that we put out. And a lot of bands do it. I'm not just saying it's Radiohead, because it's not. A lot of bands do it now. I mean, don't get me wrong, Radiohead over the years have released some absolute fucking stunning songs,
Mm-hmm.
stunning. But people will buy an album, as you know I do, based on a song. And I've fallen foul to my own bloody, Manic Street Preachers. Let's go with them. All right. The singles that they released
Uh-huh.
um, were fantastic. Design for Life,
Yes.
brilliant song. You buy the album that that's taken from, and I'll guarantee you won't play all of it because it's shit. As simple as that. It's shit. And
Okay, well,
yeah,
I fucking disagree on the you saying Pablo Honey and the Benz is the only, like, OK Computer and Kid A. I very much disagree. And also I'd argue for In Rainbows. I wouldn't argue for maybe King of Limbs and definitely not for the Moonshaped Pool. Wouldn't argue on behalf of those ones, but I'd argue on their other ones. And it's not just because I own them, which I fucking do. Um, it's because after listening to just whatever Radiohead put out, and then also listening to what Tom York does separately in his like features in his writing, I think that he is very true to his depressive, miserable self across almost everything that he puts out. So I think, yeah,
no, I
I think,
agree with that.
yeah,
I agree with that. I just find that um, a lot of artists, a lot of bands, they'll get to a point where they'll write something, and if it was their first two albums,
yeah,
God, that's not going on there because it's not good enough. But now they've become like a household name. It
yeah.
doesn't matter. They'll put it on because they know that people will still buy it. Whereas if you released that as your opening single, as your debut single, that's you fuck, mate. You ain't coming back from that.
That's true. Yeah,
Mm.
no,
That's it.
I see the point. I do. But I am still an advocate for listening to a whole album because I think, well, part of the problem, apart from people going, "Oh, that shit, I'm turning it off," is that we've got too much option now to turn it off. So you used to buy a tape or buy an album, vinyl or a CD, whatever, and because you had to get up and go and physically change it, if you didn't have a remote, you'd kind of listen to it the whole way through. Now you can
Very
press play
true.
on like Spotify or Tidal, and if the second song you're bored, you can go back to whatever it was you were listening to. There's no reason anymore. There's like no investment from the listener in many cases.
That is very true, and it's a very valid point, and I agree with that absolutely 100% because I've done that.
That's
I've bought albums in the past when it was vinyl or tape, and I've put them on, and you buy it for a track,
uh-huh.
you buy it for a track or a couple of tracks, or um, if it's an artist that you like, and it's say they've released their first two albums and they were fantastic albums, and they've
Yeah.
just released this new album, you go shit, yeah, because they're great, I'm gonna go and buy that, and you buy it, you put it on, and you're sitting there, and you're sitting there with tears in your eyes because it's shit,
Yeah,
and you can't be bothered to get up and turn it off because you're lazy,
that's true.
right?
That's true,
So you're
but
sitting on the other side of the room crying because this fucking crap is coming out your speakers, and you're just too goddamn idle to get up and turn it off.
that's true. But this is part of the reason why I'm doing the 1001 albums you must listen to before you die,
Oh,
because
terrible.
I some of them are terrible, but because I've
I
made
had the
this.
I had the Bee Gees.
You
I had the
did?
fuck I had the Bee Gees.
But because I've made this sort of commitment to listening to at least one album every day and not skipping, I'm trying to train myself out of, although I think I already started last year, but this is more of a commitment this year. Train myself out of going, oh well, I don't want to listen to this right now. So opening whatever streaming app I'm using and skipping it. I'm trying to train myself out of that and just listen properly rather than going, "Oh, fuck it, I'm done," and then skipping. Like, we skip so much. And another reason is some platforms are trying to look at implementing, a full listen payment scheme, which means that if you listen to less than 30 seconds of the song, they're not gonna get paid for it.
Okay. Mm.
And I think that's, so it's but they're calling it bot prevention because apparently bots will stream for 30 seconds and then skip to the next track and it bumps up the play
Yeah, yeah.
count.
I can
So
understand that.
yeah, so they're trying to block that. But because I think as a population we are too quick on the skip, I think that our favorite artists that are on there are actually gonna suffer from that as well. Because if you're not listening to full songs 'cause you're like, "Oh, I've heard this one too many times," and you're skipping a lot, which we do because we can. So yeah, there's a bit of that, and it's especially if you listen to, like, smaller artists, they're really gonna feel the pinch of that. So, yeah,
No, absolutely,
trying to
absolutely.
train
And
myself
this
into
is
better
why
listening.
well, this is why what I tend to do is I'll listen to a playlist that's a put together playlist, like on Tidal. They
Yeah,
give you like playlist 1, playlist 2, whatever. And I tend to listen to them because they are mixed up.
yeah,
They're obviously a
variety.
generalization of what you've been the kind of style of thing you've been listening to. So it's not necessarily artists that you know or that you would generally listen to. It's just a similar sound to what you have been listening to. And I tend to listen to them. And some of the things they throw up, like that track that I said earlier,
Mhm.
through that, I went, I would never have gone and found that. I'd never heard of it. But it came on and I was like, oh, I like that. The sound of it, the feel of it. And then when the vocal kicks in, and it's just her talking like as though she's on like through a telephone, and he's got that sort of saying. I was like, fuck yeah, I like it. I didn't even no idea who it was, never heard it before. Um, yeah. So that to me is better than putting an album on and going through because it's like I said, like I keep saying, it's so few albums that I will listen to start to finish now. It makes it difficult. I've made it difficult for myself in that respect. So those put together playlists like that are more suited to me than anything else. And a lot of them I really love. Really, really do.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, a playlist called, if you guys have got Spotify, anyone listening, it's called The Sound of Everything. It's 6,430 songs long.
Jesus.
It quite literally has, uh, every type of music that you could hope to get your hands on. It has an accompanying website and track list of how it was all put together. It was by a person who used to work for Spotify. That's a long story and not mine, so I don't care. He also has written a book though called "You Have Not Yet Heard Your Favorite Song." Glenn McDonald is his name. He was a Spotify data alchemist. And he goes into how to change your streaming habits to get actually new stuff. But yeah, the sound of everything. You know what? I'll leave a link underneath as well.
I
Well,
do that 'cause I might have a look at
yeah,
that myself.
it
Can you get that
is,
on Tidal as well? Because I can't be doing with Spotify's ads because I don't pay for it because I'm a cheap bastard.
and they're really poor quality. I'm not sure if it's on other platforms. You might have to do a transfer, like transfer it from Spotify to another platform
Yeah, yeah.
because
Okay.
it's a big one. But
For me
yes,
as well.
I
Jesus.
have been recommending this for over a month now. If I've put anything out like writing wise or whatever, I've recommended that. And I actually am thinking I might go and get the book as well. I'm very tempted to uh check it out because sometimes I also get very stuck in my own way of thinking of how I should be using these platforms and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be interested to see as a person who worked there, like how does it all work? Like what am I missing? Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a bold statement, though, as a book title, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Bit of a bold statement because I'd like to think that I have heard my favourite song.
Yeah, I think that's why I want the book because most likely I would say, right, I've heard my favorite album I've ever going to listen to in my life, and I've probably heard my favorite song. But then I also now understand how the algorithms work and how locked in you are as you use them. So the chances are, you know what, I probably haven't.
That'd be really fucked up, though, wouldn't it?
But I think the chances of you not hearing it, I mean, The Sound of Everything, over 6,000 songs on there, and I would like to say I've maybe heard about 3% maximum. Um, and so like the algorithms work is you listen to say you listen to the same kind of genre, that's cool. So it knows what genre you listen to, but then it labels up the tracks for like speed, energy, fucking acousticness, liveliness, all of this, and they get thingied as well. And then they match other songs with it. So you end up listening to the same songs all the time. And that's what they give you on your personalized playlist 9 times out of 10. You listen to them, you press play on the playlist, and you tend not to skip them because you know you like the songs. And you give it the signal to give you more of that, and it'll give you more of that. And every now and again, you might get a new song on there that you've never heard based on, I think there's like 12 factors. It ranks it on 12 factors, something like that. And so most people will only get the exact same, not exact same artist, the exact same music that they listen to, unless you make a really conscious effort to change it up, which is probably why sometimes I have something on Tidal, for example, that is just fucking wild. But then the playlist I sent you the other day, right? That's an example of the algorithm doing its algorithmic business to such a degree that that playlist was perfect.
But how long does your favourite song stay as your favourite song?
Well,
Because I know
I'm
my
glad you
favourite
brought it
song
up.
from I know my favourite song from, let's say, when I was 18
Mhm.
is not my favourite song when I was 21, and you know, and on it goes. So I think it's a never-ending thing, isn't it?
It is, except for science. Right now, research was done into why people like particular decades in terms of music and stuff, and age obviously factors into it. What I thought was very interesting about this is so there's a couple of studies, but like the two biggest ones. One says anything that you heard between the ages of 17 and 35 will be classed as what you would call your favorite music, and that is your taste defined for the rest of your life. And I termed them sticky decades, so they're the ones that you hold on to the most.
Okay.
However, there's anomalies both sides of that, right? So it's almost a perfect fucking hill for almost everybody. There's anomalies each side, and the anomalies are people who actively seek new music regularly, which means they break out of the 17 to 35, and it goes for any age group. So like I'm 38, right? So it would say 17 to 35 for me, same for you, same for everybody. Doesn't matter how old you are, that's what they class as your sticky decades.
Okay.
Unless you are actively looking for new stuff all the time, in which case these will not be so much sticky decades, as in they'll be more of a light taste preference, but will generally guide your taste.
Right. Okay. So based on that, when
Hmm.
I was about mm, 24,
Hmm.
25 maybe,
Mhm.
I remember that and you've probably still got these albums. I had in my album collection, um, Motorhead,
Yep.
the Motorhead album.
Mhm.
I had Alexander O'Neill,
Mhm.
Hearsay album. I had Handel's Messiah,
Mhm.
and what else would there have been in there? Pink Floyd was in there.
Yeah.
So it went from Jean-Michel Jarre and a guy called Tomita, a Japanese fella. So it went from a circle square,
It
if you
did.
like.
So you would probably be classed as, if it really came down to it, you might be classed in the anomaly section. But for in a group of 10 people, I would say like 9 this would be applicable to. The
Yeah.
time when
It's
it
just
does.
weird because I mean I had a collection that went from heavy metal to
Mhm.
thrash metal to punk
Mhm.
to I wouldn't go as far as opera, but classical and pop, R and
Yep.
B, and and I even branched out into like electro.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it went everywhere. It went everywhere.
So that would be more of the anomalies of the so there'd be like the dots either side of the line basically, because it wouldn't be just one specific genre. However, depending on the time frame of everything that you've collected, it potentially would fall between 17 to 35. So at your age now, if you go out and buy an album, it could potentially fall between that time frame of your life. So it's not necessarily just genre. It's
That's
really
very true.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting how it works. And it's also there's like a bunch of stuff like that that I find it really interesting. I don't know if it would apply to everybody, obviously, because I think we've got so much choice now in terms of music. Maybe it wouldn't, but I like a little bit of research. I like to study.
I know you do. I know you do. Do you know
I
the
do.
last album I bought?
Go on.
And I was just thinking about this.
Hmm.
Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars.
How old were you when that came out?
That would have been 73.
Hmm.
No, I only bought it. I bought it a few months ago.
No, but
But
how old were you when it was released? That's the
oh, um, when it was released, I would have been about 10 or 11, something like
yeah.
that.
So you do fall outside of that 17 to 35, if that's the kind of thing. My most recent purchase is a fucking heifer of a it's a massive 3 LP fucking bone vinyl. It's Noah Khan. Stick season will all be here forever. And I opened it, and to my fucking surprise and delight, there was a booklet in there, and there's all sorts of like bits and pieces in there, and the fucking bone vinyl looks amazing, and the gatefold is, do you know when it's thoughtfully put together and the whole thing fucking makes sense?
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous. Delighted with that one. And I also bought the Hosier extension album with the extra third slot on the new gatefold as well. And for some reason it came with a free CD, so I'm not gonna lie, I am thinking, do I need a CD player now? I've only got one CD.
Um,
No, I know.
no, you've got a PlayStation, haven't you?
No, I don't.
But there is one in the house.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with me, that. I don't
Yeah,
care
but you
about
could
that.
have a listen. You could have a listen to it on that, and then go, well, if it sounds all right, playing it off that, then you go out and buy yourself a CD player.
Or I just buy one and then I start buying
Well,
CDs and I go fucking Care to the Wind or whatever
no,
sentence.
do you know what? Do you know what? I did. Oh God, when I bought a CD player because I got rid of all my CDs because I got rid of everything, and then I started building it all back up, and I bought a CD player,
Yeah,
and I thought, right, sound, I can start building up all my CDs again now.
yeah.
So I started building up all of the CDs again, just
Mhm.
going out and right, I buy this and I buy that and I buy fucking this, that. And then I bought the Weem,
Oh, yeah.
and then that's all gone out the window now because I don't look at it
Mhm.
anymore. You know, because what's the point?
Do you know what I think I would do? I think I would end up buying the same CDs I've got on fucking vinyl. Like, I
Um,
think I honestly think that's what I'd end up doing
do you know, that's what I did pretty
because
much.
I don't think
Okay.
they're particularly cheaper. I don't even know how much a CD costs now.
About a tenner.
Is it? I
Yeah,
don't
they're not, when when you consider an album now will cost you the wrong end of like 30 quid.
vinyl, yeah.
And yeah, vinyl. The CD's about a tenner or somewhere around there. And you haven't got to get up and turn it over, and you're not as precious about it
Mm,
because you drop if you pick a vinyl up and you've got your fingers on the grooves, or somebody picks it up and they've got the fingers on the grooves, you club them.
yeah, I would punch you to
You
death.
beat them with a stick, and God forbid somebody picked it up and dropped it. Jesus fucking Christ, no. But with a CD, it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
You're not as protective over a CD as you are your vinyl, and you never, people never will be, and I don't care who you are.
mm,
These people going, oh, but but I'll tell you what. If you go and buy yourself a new vinyl and I come over there and put my grubby paws all over it, you're going to hit me with a stick, mate. And that's simple as that. But if it's a CD and I
mm.
pick it up in the same manner, you'll just go, you twat, and you'll rub it down on your sleeve and put it in and it'll play.
Do a little one to
Yeah,
get all the
exactly.
yeah,
A little, yeah.
the very
It,
one.
it's such a difference in the way you treat these things, and I do it myself, and I defy anybody out there to turn around and say, no, I treat my vinyl like, it's just no, it's not just anything. It's, you buy these things and you pick them specifically. It's not a random choice. You go into a shop and you go, oh, give us one of them, and you don't even know what it is. It's
Yeah,
not like a fucking bag of sweets. You know what I mean? You pick these things particularly, and they become part of your life, and you're
I think
precious
so.
about them. They
Well,
really
yeah.
do.
I mean, that one I've just mentioned was, about 90 of your finest euros.
You know, yeah.
So in comparison to a CD, I obviously wouldn't give a hot shit.
There
I
you
wouldn't
go.
fucking
You
care.
see,
I just
point
don't
proven.
care 'cause
Exactly.
I'm quite happy to, get the specific one that I want. So there is another version of the album. It's a black one. It doesn't have the booklet doesn't have all of that kind of bits, but it's the specific one that I wanted. And I'm like, well, I want that one. I don't want to buy the black one and then just regret not having the other one. So just fucking cough up the money.
Yeah. So, when you go out and you pick these things, you do. It is a specific thing you're looking for. It's not
Yes, it
just any
is.
old one. And if you're looking at the same album, and somebody says this version of the album is on black vinyl, it's the bog standard one, and it's 30 quid, and you go,
Mm,
yeah, but I've got
mhm,
this one, and it's
mhm.
a colour vinyl, or it's got a gatefold, and it's got a booklet, and it's got this, but it's double the price.
Yeah,
It's only a booklet, and it's just, it's going to play exactly the same as your black
it is.
vinyl, but you're still going to buy that one.
For sure I am. For sure I
Yeah,
am because
yeah,
I
sure.
feel yeah, I don't see why I should not. I think that's the thing. I'm of the mind now that I'm like, if I want to wait to get the see-through orange with some fucking picture on it and a special case and all this, I'm just going to wait for it. I'll just get exactly the one I want, or I won't have it at all. And that's the problem. They're not having it at all. One because I'm like, if I don't have the exact one I want, I'm not going to buy it at all. I just simply will not listen to it.
Now, I
Mhm.
remember a little while ago, I'd uh, I'd said to you about the Dark Side 50th anniversary double album
Yes.
that was released on clear vinyl with the picture.
Mhm.
What the fuck was it called? Zoetrope.
Yeah,
No, it's
Zoetrope, yeah.
actually it's not even a zoetrope because it doesn't make, it's just on there, the prism.
Oh, it's a
And
special UV, print
yes,
style, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. And I'd said to you at the time, I've got the original of it. I don't
Mhm.
need it. I don't
Mm-mm.
need it. What do I need it
Mm-mm.
for? It's expensive and I don't want it.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
when it turned up on my birthday,
Yeah.
I shed a tear.
Yeah. Because
I
it's
wa-
fucking beautiful.
'Cause he's I
Fucking
won't lie.
I don't
I won't lie. It's been
Yeah.
played once because I was
Mhm,
forced to play it.
mhm.
It's been played once and it's gone back in its sleeve and it is never coming out.
Yeah, I think, there is something special about so the limited edition, that's nice enough, but I think there is something very nice in picking the exact thing that you want, and when it turns up, it's really nice, and when it's, like, limited or whatever, there's only a certain amount of people who can have that one because they tend not
Yes.
to do them again, especially the, uh celebration versions and stuff like that, and I think it's quite nice, but yeah, and you don't really get that with a CD. A CD is a fucking CD. A tape is a tape, and you certainly don't get it by streaming, and I think vinyl is the one place that you can kind of that it's worth saving for. It's worth saving up to get the nice version, and it doesn't matter if someone, "Oh, but as you just pointed out, the black one will play the same."
Yeah.
It's not it doesn't come into it, I think, for me anymore. I'm like, "Fine, it might play the same, but that's not the one I wanna look at on the on my fucking player. I don't wanna look at that one on play I wanna look at this one. That's the one I want." Um, the Snow Patrol one, I got the coloured one of that. The Hozier one, I've got the burnt ochre colour, and every single one of them is different. Um, but that's also coming from a person, and you know this, I set up a listening station. I went and bought a large armchair and a table,
Yes, you
and
did.
I've set my lights up even to play along with the music. So
Oh, 'cause you've
that's
fallen into speaker land now, haven't you?
yeah.
Since we last put a pod out there,
Oh shit. Yeah.
yeah, you've become a speaker fiend as well.
Yes, I do, and I would be hard pressed to upgrade them. I really enjoy them, and so they've got their own little, EQ bit on the side. It's nothing massive. You can tweak a couple of bits and pieces, but in combination with the Weem that has all of these options in it, and I was talking to you about them the other day. I found extra
Oh,
ones.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I can sit down and pick any fucking vinyl that I see. I can pick one and I can set the levels right there and then, 10 seconds or less, to exactly how I wanna listen to it. So if I wanna hear something super bassy, I can pull one of your terrible, terrible electro ones out for whatever
Oi,
reason.
oi, oi,
I
you
can
watch
I
your
can
mouth.
I know, yeah.
You watch your mouth.
I pull it out and I can turn up the bass slightly and I can turn down this and I can get rid of the mids if I can't be bothered with them, if I just wanna hear the bass and the top. I can get rid of all of that and just listen to it however I fucking want to in my chair. And I
Yep,
think it all goes very much hand in hand. I wanna see it specifically. I wanna see this specific vinyl playing
yep,
in my specific chair with this specific sound.
yep,
So that's
absolutely.
it. Yeah, so I've
Do
got
you
a
not
little bit
find though, do you
picky
not
now.
find that right, I'll come in from work, this is going back to the 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 coloured or the more distinctive vinyls in your collection,
Yeah.
right? I'll come in from work and I'll drop myself down in my chair, I'll
Mhm.
turn my stereo on, and the Weem goes on, and I'll toddle about with my phone, and I'll play a few songs, alright?
Mhm.
Job done. I'll come in from work, and I'll put a CD on, drop myself in my chair, listen to a few songs, job done. Now,
Mhm.
if I'm gonna put one of my lovely vinyls on,
Yeah.
I'll come in from work, I'll have a shower,
Yeah.
I'll put some comfortable clothes on
Mhm.
and my slippers.
Yes.
I'll put it on, and I will get the perfect position
Yes.
on my reclining chair,
Mhm.
and I will kind of relax into it.
Yes.
You
So
see that?
my
Yeah.
2 little
So
speakers are on 2 little chairs, right? So so my 2 little speakers are on 2 little chairs, and I will move these little chairs with my little speakers, and I will position my chair also into wherever it is that I wanna go, and I will get a cup of coffee or tea first, and I'll get whatever it is I'm getting, and that'll be that, and my phone gets slung somewhere else. So once I've set the Weem up, um, my phone gets put away. And
yeah,
that's me. I'm not done until I'm like, and sometimes after I've listened to one, I'll go and get another one, but only see, now it gets more complicated. If I've set the Weem up for a specific listening type, so if I'm gonna put a Hozier on, I know I can probably listen to Snow Patrol, I can listen to Noah Khan, I can probably grab, oh, what's that other one? There's another one over there as well. I can listen to 3 or 4 albums with that same setup. Now, if I went to pick a Radiohead and I got all of those out, I'd need to have a different setup. So I have to listen to the same type of music if I get rid of my phone. So if my phone's away and I can't change the levels, there you go.
Oh,
So,
because your turntable goes through your Weem, doesn't it?
uh-huh.
Yeah, you see, mine doesn't.
Mhm.
Mine goes
Uh,
straight into the amp
no,
because
mine
you
goes
haven't got. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, I know.
yeah, it goes straight in there, which means I can set it up.
Yeah,
So I have to get also very specific. So what is it that I'm gonna listen to? How long am I listening for? What could follow that? Because after I've listened to one, I'm gonna listen to another. So then I have to it's a very dedicated it's a very dedicated time. Um, and during that
Oh,
time, like, everything's off. Like, that's
oh,
me, I'm
you
done.
you know what? You when you're playing something that you know, a favorite vinyl, if it's from my phone through the Weem, or if it's a CD, I don't give a shit. I'll just, like I said, I'll just
Mhm.
go and drop myself on my chair, done. If it's one of my favorite vinyls, it's there's a ritual.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? You've got to be cleansed
Is
before
that
you touch the vinyl.
I think
You have to,
so.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and yes, and sometimes I'll even decide the order that I'm listening to the vinyls in before I put the first one on.
I know, you see, I can't, well, yeah.
So I'll look at the track listing because sometimes I'll decide I want to start in the middle. So if it's a 3, I'm like, okay, I got to start on the second one, and then I don't want to put the last one on after that because if I put the last one on, that's usually got a very strong uh, outro. And so I'm like, okay, so if I go for the second album first, it has to go second, first, third because I often find artists have stronger outros on the album, and the outro is more obvious. Like you could always feel a final track, right? You know that that's the
Yeah,
one. So I
yeah.
have to put it in a different order if I'm doing that.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Fair enough.
Mhm. I know. I know. Don't have to say a fucking word. I know. Yes, I am very aware. So yeah.
Yeah. So there you
Yes.
go. Vinyls versus CDs versus streaming.
Yeah. It's like a keep coming back to that one, and I think I shall never stop until people go, oh, actually, she might have a point. Because I do. I promise you, I actually have a fucking point. I actually do. Not always.
Yeah.
Not always, but on this particular occasion, I do. Um, yeah.
Fair enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right, well, I think that's us for today, is it?
Yeah,
Have we done
uh,
everything?
we
Have we just
we've said all the words and that's it. So, thanks for joining. We may or may not have, recommendations on the next one. It depends what we've been listening to. I'll put those 2, playlists under the thing,
yeah.
and do you wanna add a playlist in? I'm gonna put Slappity Bangers and, The Sound of Everything on, so we could put a
No,
third
what I'll
one
tell
on.
you what I will do, I'll throw, a concept album in that I listened to recently,
Mhm.
um, which in fairness, I hadn't really taken much notice of until this point, and it's the Hounds of Love by Kate Bush.
Oh, man, it's a fucking good album.
Yeah, great concept album. Have a listen to it. If you don't know much about it, or if you don't really listen to Kate Bush that much, listen to that album. Just put it
I
on, start to finish. Concept.
I have a very strong feeling that Kate Bush is gonna be back in the top 10 again with, Wuthering Heights.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, I think she popped back up last year or the year before, and that song is doing the rounds again now. So I have a feeling it's gonna pop up back in the top 10 very soon.
Oh, fair enough. Right.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So there you go. Yeah, chuck that one in, and we'll see what happens with it.
Okie dokie then. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.
You certainly will. That.
Or
See you in a bit.